Hello guys, this is my part 2 of our discussions regarding paradigm shift. This time, let's talk about the user interface. So, when we talk about user interface, we are referring to the method by which the user and the computer exchange information and instructions. And it is also called as UI, or simply an interface. So it means that a person controls a software application or hardware device. So in order for that person or for that user to exchange information and instructions with the computer, so we are facing using a user interface. So there are three main types of user interface. So we have the command line, we have the menu-driven, and the graphical user interface. Let's talk about the command line and menu-driven user interface. Okay, when we talk of command line user interface, uh, this allows the user, so this is the interface that allows the user to interact with the computer by typing commands on a prompt. So there's a command prompt that is displayed on the interface. There is this cursor blinking on the command prompt, and then all you have to do is just type in the command, everything that what you would want the computer to perform. This will have to type the command, and then after typing the command, you're going to press the enter key or the return key in order for the computer to accept your command. Okay, so you'll have to follow the syntax of the command. So if you do not know the syntax, so the computer would not be able to understand your command. So you'll have to follow the right syntax of each command. This is a typical example of a command line interface. This is the disk operating system. So basically, what you see on your computer screen is just a black screen, and then a letter C and a colon with a backslash, and then a greater than symbol, and then the cursor. So this is what we call the command prompt. Okay, so this is where you're going to type your command. So we cannot see any images here. We won't be able to see any graphics here because this is just typical command line interface. So let us see some of the commands that we can do on a command line interface using this disk operating system. Okay, so dir meaning if you wanted to display all the directories and the files on your computer, you have to type dir, and then cls if you wanted to clear your screen. So again, dir to view your files. So cd is change directory. Let's say we wanted to go inside to a user's directory, then cd users. Then dir/w is you wanted to display your files or your folders or your directory in a horizontal view. Then cd, again, you went inside into a directory, dir/w. Okay, so horizontal view. Now, if you wanted to, let's say, go back to your previous directory, you have to type cd dot dot and then cd dot dot, and then you're on your root directory. That's the C colon backslash and a prompt. So this is typical interface, command line interface. So before we call it directory, but currently our directory is being called as folders. Okay, so we wanted to go into a certain folder, so we'll have to type a command like cd change directory and so on. So I remember actually way back when I was in college, this is the first disk operating system that we used, during those times. We cannot use the computer without a bootable disk, so we need to have a bootable disk there for us to use our computer. So we always have this uh, the 5 and 1/4 floppy disk, okay, and we also have this 3.5 floppy disk for our data files. So the downline of this is that you really have to memorize all of the commands. Okay, the syntax, so kailangan sakto lang, no, tamang-tama yung uh, pag-type mo ng command following the syntax. Kasi kahit magkamali ka ng isang colon or isang space or any symbol na mali yung position niya on the syntax, so laging sabihin niya bad command. Okay, so the computer would not be able to perform your command if you're not following the syntax. So you'll have to really memorize the syntax, memorize your command. Okay. Then we also have this menu-driven user interface. So a menu-driven user interface, it offers a simple menu from which a user has to choose an option. Some on the menu has its sub-menu. So when you click certain option on a menu, okay, it will provide you a list of several options, and then if you choose one of the menu, some of it provides you with a sub-menu. And then we have this full screen menu, which occupies the whole screen. And then it has a menu bar wherein all the set of options are located, okay, at the top of our screen or of the screen. That's the menu bar. So when a particular option is chosen, so there is a drop-down menu displayed or being displayed. And the drop-down menu should be choosing uh, other options or menus with their sub-menus. So this is a typical example of the menu-driven interface. So not unlike on a command line interface, so you won't see anything on your screen except the prompt. But this time, there are several options on the screen that you can choose. Okay, so these are menus. So during this time, we still do not have a mouse yet. Okay, so all you have to do is just press a shortcut key on the keyboard just to select a particular option on the menu, or you'll have to use your arrow keys, the tab key and then the arrow keys. You have to uh, press several times on your tab or on your arrow keys just to switch to or go to a particular option on a menu. So another example here is just like our Turbo C IDE. So you're familiar with this. This is where you create programs on your code in C or in C++. This is a typical menu-driven interface wherein at the top of your screen you can see your menu bar. So we have several options like file, edit, search, run, okay, compile, etc. And then when you click an option on this menu, let's say the compile, so it will give you several list of options, and some of these options do have their submenus. Okay, and imagine we do not have a mouse on this time. What we do here is we usually use the shortcut keys on the keyboard, or we actually use the alt key. Let's say if we wanted to show the list of options on the file menu, is we'll just have to press the alt F key. So this is the alt F, this is the alt E, this alt S, and then etc. So that is how we usually navigate our interface with a menu driven interface. Okay, so now we have this graphical user interface. Nung college pa ako, I experienced graphical user interface when I was in the third year level. So imagine nyo, from first year hanggang second year college, we have the command line and the menu-driven interface. We do not have mouse at those during those times, no? So hindi pa ginagamit or wala pang mouse na paggagamitan ng computer ng time na yon. So kumbaga hindi pa na-imbento yung mouse. Pero nung nagkaroon ng graphical user interface, so this is the time that nagbago talaga, no, as in totally we were amazed of this interface because we can now see several graphics or pictures on the screen. And ang isa pang nakakatawa nga doon is that meron na ngang tinatawag na mouse. Okay? And syempre, alam mo yun, the first time that you see a mouse is, alam mo yun, parang you're being confused na how would I use this thing? How can I use this thing? What's the purpose of this thing or this what we call mouse? So parang halong excited na nakakakaba din kasi parang para siyang bagong technology during nung mga time na yun. Okay? So nung nagkaroon na ng graphical user interface, parang naging mas alive na, no, yung paggamit ng computer. So this is a typical example of a graphical user interface. So this is the Mac OS. We have, now you can see several graphics, several pictures, icons. So before, wala pa ng mga terms na yon, mga icons na yon. So what is this GUI? So the graphical user interface. It is a form of user interface that allows users to interact with electronic devices through graphical icons and audio indicator, such as primary notation, instead of text-based user interface or a typed command labels or text navigation. So yung sinasabing text navigation here is the command line interface. Okay, so before nga, what we do, we type in the commands. So kaya ang tawag din sa kanya is text-based user interfaces. And yung sinasabi dito na electronic device. So this interface allows the users to interact with the computer using an electronic devices. So we have that mouse. So yun ang ibig sabihin dito na electronic devices. So we're talking about the mouse here. So we would not be able to use our graphical user interface without this electronic device, without this mouse. So the user chooses an option, usually by pointing a mouse at an icon, and then that icon represents something, an option. So the icon represents a particular option on the graphical user interface. Ayan. So, ayun. So, ang paggamit na ng mouse is, syempre, you'll have to follow the actions ng mouse. Diba? So, you click the mouse, you perform several mouse actions para makapamili ka ng option doon sa isang graphical user interface na kagaya nitong Mac. So, nandun pa rin yung menu. So, may menu pa rin siya, but this time, the menu here, you can now use your mouse to click the menu. Not unlike before, we use the tab keys, then the arrow key just to go to a particular menu. No? So, hindi mo na kailangan sa uluhin pa yung command. All you have to do lang is use your mouse, then perform actions using your mouse. Let's say click, double click, right click, drag, and so on. Okay? Now, this Microsoft Windows, so this is a typical graphical user interface of Microsoft Windows version 3.1, and this is the first graphical user interface na na-encounter namin, that we have encountered during my college days. This version of Microsoft Windows. Okay, just like Mac, you can see several graphics here on your screen. You have your icons, you have your menu, you have your window. So this Microsoft called it window. So each application that you're going to open or use is being viewed or open in a particular window. So that's why it's called Microsoft Windows. So it has several what do you call this? The several components. So Windows, a typical window has its several components, no? So yun yung mga components na yun ang mga pinagagamitan din ng mouse, like the close button, like the minimize, the maximize, the close button, etc. So yan, so mas exciting na ang buhay namin nung college because of the graphical user interfaces. Why? You don't have to memorize the command just to copy, paste your files to another folder before it's being called as directory. You don't have to really follow syntax, because if you have issued a command with the wrong syntax, your computer will not be able to perform your command. But here, you have your mouse. You don't need to memorize the command on click by clicking your mouse. So you know your action. All you have to do is know your action, how to click, how to double click, how to drag your mouse, how to right click. That's it. So what are those purpose, the actions of your mouse? So yun lang ang kailangan mong alamin. And then yun, makakagamit ka na ng computer. So yun lang kagandahan ng graphical user interface. You have your device, the mouse. Okay, you don't really have to memorize the command, because every time that you click your mouse, every time that you perform an action on your mouse, you're actually giving instructions to the computer, and the computer will react on your instruction or on your commands. So currently, this is now the design of a graphical user interface. So on the top left, we have the version of the Microsoft Windows. Okay, and Windows 10, and then we have this Mac here on the MacBook, and then we have the Linux here at the bottom. So basically, so the graphical user interface of a machine evolves, no? So hindi lang dito sa computer. So ganun din sa phone. So another history kumbaga on the phone. So before, ang phones then are text-based. I mean, you would not see any icons or any pictures kagaya nitong graphical user interface. So wala pa noon na mga uh, pictures or graphics, no, na makikita natin sa ating mga cellphones. Before, ang mga cellphones, hindi ko naman napakita rito. Before, mga two-liners pa siya. So, particular cellphones before are just have had it has only two lines, no? So na pwede kang makapag-type, no? And ayun, wala ka pang makikitang mga drawing. So nung naging ganito na ang itsura ng Windows, ng computer natin. So it's more appealing to the eye at saka mas exciting na siya gamitin. And yun nga, hindi mo na kailangan pang sauluhin lahat yung mga command na gusto mo ibigay sa kanya, as long as may magagamit ka ng mga devices. Tsaka, ang mga device ngayon, hindi lang mouse. No? There are several external or electronic device or devices that we use, no, today. Hindi lang mouse ngayon. So, we have the other devices, especially sa mga pang gaming. Diba? Pag mag-games tayo, so we now can insert several peripheral devices on our computer. Okay, so tingnan natin. Let's see here. Before this, we have this command line interface. You can only see a black screen and full of text on your computer screen. You have to type in all of the commands. Diba? Kailangan sa ulo mo talaga lahat. Dahil pag hindi ay hindi ka makapag-issue ng command. And then suddenly, nagkaroon ng MenuDriven Interface. So, there is a little bit color on your screen, diba? And you can see several menus na may mga options, menus that we can choose. Okay? And then suddenly, we have the graphical user interface. Diba? So, ito na yung, alam mo yun, totally parang kabaliktaran ng CLI. Kasi dito wala kang makita kundi text lang. What you can see here, just text only. But here on the graphical user interface, you can see, you can navigate easily your computer because of the graphics that we can see on the screen, the icons that represents certain options on our computer. Diba? So that's a total paradigm shift here from a command line interface and then on a graphical user interface. But actually, there are still some systems that has a command line interface. No, meron pa rin no mga systems na meron pa ring command line interfaces. Kasi there are systems that would be easier to issue commands by typing, no? Typing the commands. Okay? Kaya hindi pa rin nawawala naman ito. But in a particular personal computer, di ba? So, mas okay yung paggamit natin ng graphical user interface.